Solitude. That wonderful knowledge that you're the only human around for miles. There are rich deposits of it to be found here on these distant lonely lakes, the ones rarely visited and fished even less, quiet lakes lost and unnamed. So I'm here on the most northerly trip of my life, hunting a seldom traveled route that will take me into the world's largest wilderness canoeing reserve. To me, this deliberate solitude is the ultimate form of freedom. Out here, you can do anything you want. Absolutely anything. Oh yeah. Good Canadian northern water. Beautiful camp for night number 1, and that feeling of solitude. This is a sweet reward at the end of a long day of travel. I came 9 hours north, and I already live in northern Ontario, so I'm almost at the end of the road here toward Pickle Lake, up the 599 highway, which is the northernmost highway in Ontario. Got to the access point on Pashkokogon Lake and was greeted with a pretty stiff headwind, so I got on my way quickly, put in a good 2 hours of paddling, and got to this wonderful site. I'm tucked away in the bush there, and I'll give you a quick tour before I lose the sun, and then I'll show you where I'm going on this trip. Pulled up to this beach, and I was hopeful that it was going to work since the sun was getting low, and lo and behold, people have camped here. The moss has grown in, so it doesn't look like it's been used for a while. And the stools that were cut here are starting to, well, they're quite rotten. But there's an old axe. And I'm going to be cozy as can be in the hammock tonight under these jack pine, birch. Didn't even stake these out because it's not supposed to rain, but set it up so I don't get dew or frost on me. It's supposed to be close to freezing tonight, actually. Getting the stick stove fired up for a classic night 1 dinner. A fat, juicy, thick slab of you know what. Pierogies with a nice side of onion, sauteed. So here's the route. I started off Highway 599 over here on Pashkokogon. I'm going to go around into Little Pashkokogon and then down to McCrae Lake. Probably spend a day there. And then the pink dots and lines are portages. Series of small lakes, which I'm really excited for, through here. And then come out into Greenbush and back. And these dotted lines are potential detours if I'm ahead of schedule. This is Wabakimi Provincial Park, just the northwest corner of it, a seldom visited corner, I'm sure. There are possible brook trout in there, but unfortunately that season closed a week ago, so pike and walleye trip mostly. It's amazing how fast it goes from the long days of summer and the heat to potentially close to freezing overnight, and man, it gets dark so much faster now. But cheers, got a bit of scotch for this trip. Cheers to the start of what should be a great one. Cold grey morning to start off day 2, and a stiff headwind building, so I'm glad I'm up at first light to get on my way. And I want to get off this lake as soon as possible because it does have a bit of development at the south end where I accessed, and if I want solitude then I need to put portages behind me to earn that solitude. I love solo tripping, but there are pros and cons, of course, and both of my regular tripping partners came into my dreams last night. Right before I woke up, I imagined that Aaron was building a fire right in front of the hammock for me, and I woke up and it was all nice and cozy, but no, it was cold, and Aaron wasn't there and no fire. And then I dreamt that Xander and I were sharing a canoe, which we would never do because it would end our friendship. A bear started just rushing out to us into the water, and Xander did nothing, and I bopped it on the nose with my paddle, and we got away. But no tripping partner on this one. Time to get in gear. Well, it's been a long 19 kilometers into this headwind to get to the top of Pashkokogan Lake, but I'm finally there. I'm heading down this way into McCrae Lake down here. And the Pashkokogan River flows up there to the Albany River, famous waterway, and it's not far away, but it's for another time. For now, I'm just excited to come around this corner and go through the Narrows into East Pashkokogan Lake. Stopped a little early before the portage. Found a good campsite here, the fire pit, so I'm starving. I'm gonna get lunch cooked up. Black bean burritos. Back in my way, and I'm almost at the portage into McCrae Lake, which goes around a rapid. And I read online that this portage is very clear, so this should be a really easy one. Beyond this one, I have no idea what state the portages are in, but I don't imagine they're well traveled. Yeah, instantaneous. Nice eater walleye. Sharpless hook. Thank you. Like this time. Well, I'm sure there are a ton more fish here, but still got some progress to make on McCrae, so on to the portage. Portage was a breeze. On to McCrae Lake. Gotta be a few dozen sandhill cranes up there, migrating. I don't think I've ever seen so many together. McCrae Lake's looking beautiful so far. I'm gonna slip down the backside of these islands here out of the wind and then cut back over and start looking for camp. I originally planned on blowing through McCrae, but it's quite a beautiful lake, worthy of spending today, and I'll get out of here tomorrow. Good for the night. It's almost 6 now, so it's been a full day on the water, but aside from the morning with the headwind, it's been blissful. Just hoping a campsite turns up soon because the sun's gonna go down fast and I'm hungry. Long day, low energy, low sun. Perfect night for a freeze-dried backpacking meal. No cooking, it's almost ready. It's gonna be so good. And just a beautiful evening here, it's so calm, and the sun is just about to hit the horizon. Just enough time for me. Oh, that really hit the spot. A chocolate bar dessert. And a beautiful quiet evening. I seem to have this huge lake to myself. and looking forward to exploring it tomorrow. If I can will myself to, I want to get up for some stargazing tonight. It looks like it's going to be perfectly clear, so yeah, see if I can get my butt out of bed. A lovely start to day 3 here, along with some stargazing and a barred owl hooting last night. And on my topo map, I keep Canadian topo maps on my phone on an app that I can view them offline. And there's an interesting feature, it's an esker, which I don't get the chance to see very often. So I'm gonna take a flight here and look around. Lovely view up there at sunrise, and you can see the ridge of the esker running between those two small turquoise lakes, but it's forested, so you can't really make out the esker itself and the sediment that's left there. If you're not familiar with an esker, basically after the last ice age, 8,000 to 10,000 years ago, all those glaciers were melting and they created rivers of meltwater running through those glaciers, and embedded in all that ice was lots of sediment and sand. So as it ran and funneled into those channels in the glaciers, it also deposited tons of sand. So once the glaciers finally melted down, you had these rivers of sand left, the riverbeds in the glaciers. So I've never really seen one. It's more of something you see in the Arctic or subarctic. So yeah, I'm not surprised it was forested. Someday I'll see one. So here's the progress update. Put in just 6 kilometers on that first day into the headwind, carried on yesterday morning, and then turned down to McCrae Lake and cut around the backside of this island down here to right around there. That's 42 kilometers so far, 36 of them yesterday. Today will be a lighter day, just head up here, 3 short portages, though I think they might be hard to find and rough, and get into Shoe Lake. Fish on to start day 3. Taking a quick lunch stop here before the first portage. I'm almost there in the northeast corner of McCrae. Been an uneventful and gloomy paddle so far, but it looks like the sun's trying to break through. And I'm just heading down here into the end of the bay, and then I'll be looking for that portage. pure muck down there, almost at the creek. And it's extremely shallow, just enough water to float the canoe. So I got this route from a Friends of Wabakimi guidebook, and I found virtually no other information on it online. And I'm guessing they did it in higher water because this is not accessible at all. Based on their map, the portage starts way up there, and there's probably 100 meters of marsh and muck to get through to get to that spot, and that's just the first portage of many, so that's kind of dubious. I'm gonna get out on shore and see if I can find something. I'm guessing this is a trail, which would be absolutely fine. Okay, so once I get to the actual trail, it's quite reasonable. Yeah, some cut logs here. Okay, I better get to work. So it's going to take a lot of clearing work to walk through to the end, but the upside, solitude, what I came for. Looking a little bit better. First load, main pack, camera bag, and net with odds and ends from the canoe. And second load, canoe, and food barrel. Uneven terrain. Gotta pay attention. Oh man, that's one down, one short one. Supposedly short one out of 3 just to get to Shoe Lake. Still just enough water in this creek section to float, but I love these big wetlands, so I'm pretty happy. And on McCrae Lake, there was an outfitter outpost camp, and I was looking for it. I couldn't see it, didn't see any motorboats or anything like that, but I guess tourism season's kind of over now. And yeah, I seemed to have the lake all to myself, but I didn't feel that remote. You know, it felt like someone could go by at any point. Now that feeling is gone. I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I love it. I'm just hoping I can get to Shoe Lake before it gets dark, because this is not a nice place to camp. After a short paddle, I'm at the second portage, and at least the creek was deep enough here for me to get to where the portage starts on my map, so that's a big improvement. Now I just gotta find it. No sign of anything from the water, but the south shore looks a little less terrible, so I'll try that first. Oops. Yep. This is it. Gotta wait out a little bit here because I'll ground out on these rocks, but at least I'm not wading in mud. Plenty of water in this section of Shoe Creek, which is almost like a lake itself. And before this trip I was wondering if snowmobiles got into these lakes at all, but based on those trails I highly doubt it, which is great. Looks good. Well, decent. The loop I'm doing was more formally established in 2008 or 2009 by the Wabakimi project. Phil Cotton. But yeah, I doubt it's seen a ton of use since, so that was 15 years ago now. And I don't think much work has been done. Yes, Shoe Lake. Looks beautiful. Camp number 3. Spruce woods and a beautiful carpet of moss. Awesome view from the hammock. Shoe Lake is dead quiet. Gravity filter. Got dinner ready to cook up. Some stuff drying out here. And a lake to myself. The reward for a few portages. Non-calzone's coming up tonight, and I built a little rock pile here for this twig stove because this pan kind of covers the whole top of the stove and stifles the draw, so it works, but it just works a lot better if there's some space there. Cheers to deliberate loneliness. What a morning. The ravens and loons are finally breaking the silence, but it was dead quiet for 12 hours and it was a really cool experience. I didn't want to break that silence. But it's time to get moving again. I'm looking forward to the next lake. It looks beautiful on the map. Takeoff Lake it's called. It looks like a long runway. And I might spend an extra day there. We'll see how much I like it. Got a big pot of veggie curry rehydrating. Should fill me up for a while. Gonna need the calories today. Got some longer portages. So yesterday I came up from about the middle of McCrae Lake through these 3 short portages. That was the nasty one. And to the middle of Shoe Lake. 3 portages today. Takeoff Lake. How many people do you think fish a lake like this each year? It could be 0. Could it be no one's fished this lake this year? I'm at the east end of Shoe Lake looking for the portage, and I have a better feeling about today's portages because they're not following a creek system like yesterday. In the low water, which you can see from the shoreline, it's very low. Creek travel becomes impossible, so these shouldn't be as bad. Nothing visible from the water, but I'm pretty sure I'll find it. Yep. This is it. Very nice. I love these lowlands. Tons of Labrador tea and stunted little trees. Great for portage trails. You don't get washed out so easily. And because of the low water and dry conditions, it's nice and dry in here. Sweet. That went quite well. And that brings me to this unnamed lake. Looks beautiful. Okay, coming through with the second load, and the trail's looking great. Another pretty little island-studded lake, and too soon I'm through it and looking for the next portage. I'm guessing this is it. Looks like it. Decent trail, certainly usable. Gonna take a little work. Wow, that's so pretty. Whew. Glad to be done that. It took a good couple hours with the scouting and clearing, but now just one short portage left for the day to get into the next one, which looks beautiful. And peanut butter and honey wraps to provide a little fuel until I get there. This is one of those perfect little lakes that makes you wish you could just live here. And there's a beaver lodge over there, and I'm a little jealous. What a simple, perfect life. This lake all to yourself. You don't have to worry about a job or geopolitics or any other major stresses. You just find food, which is abundant here for a beaver, and try not to get torn apart by wolves. I have been fishing these small lakes a little bit. Can't resist. Just imagine no one fishes them. And surprisingly nothing, but Takeoff Lake is where I'll spend a bit more time on that. And it's coming into view here. There's just a tiny 32-meter portage separating it from this lake. It's a bit messy for a mere 32 meters, but cleared it out a little bit, do a little more. But the reward looks so sweet. Takeoff is a beautiful lake, as I hoped. And it looks so pure that I'm gonna risk it. I almost never do this, but I'm so thirsty. And out in the middle of the lake, should be okay. The main risk here is Giardia, which sounds just awful. It's a parasite and it can take weeks or even months to get rid of, so that's why I filter. Huh. Tiny walleye. Not that tiny. Pretty nice eater actually, but it's getting late and I want to just make camp and have something easy. Tomorrow I hope to have a shore lunch though. Really hoping to find camp soon. In fact, I would have stayed on the last lake if I found something good, but thick bush on the north shore and steep rock on the south shore, so absolutely nothing yet, nothing even viable. Another one, same thing. Oh, it's got a nice belly on it. I would love to have this for dinner, but I just don't have the energy. And it's getting low on daylight too. Whoa, that one had a bit of blue to it. Sometimes these northern walleye do. Well, I lucked out at just the right time. Fantastic campsite, established campsite actually, and it's perfect for me. I'm really ecstatic. What a spot. Fantastic view, and the site itself is outstanding. Little fire pit which I'm going to use momentarily for a much needed meal. Great spot for the hammock. Nice woods. Very open, but not in an used way. I'm in heaven. Refueling with some mint tea and a backpacking meal, and can't wait to get in the hammock. I might stay here tomorrow. It's too nice to have so little time here. Ah. Day 5, and the obligatory cutting of the vegetables shot. Making some nice breakfast burritos this morning, and hopefully not the last time I'll be using this fillet knife today. Taking a rest day here. It's too good not to enjoy. I can cut vegetables. Sweet onion, black bean mix, some hash browns, and cheese tomato. Hot sauce. Time to get these babies in some wraps. Look at these chonkers. Holy cow. Well, it was a cold and gloomy morning. Nice to spend it by the fire and in the hammock. It's really changed now. Beautiful day, and I'm really hoping to get that fish. Yeah. Still a little too small. I'll show you if it's an interesting fish, but best to keep them wet. It's 3 bites here in this little bay. Whoa! Just on the other side of camp. And it's the same thing, unfortunately. I'd be happy to eat pike. I love pike, but ideally when they're in kind of like 3 to 4 pound range. Although you can't keep any between 70 and 90 centimeters in this zone, which is 27 to 36 inches roughly. That one's almost keepable. I might keep this one and go for another. Get a good look at it first. Yeah, I'll try it. Thank you. So that'd be one of the smallest pike I've ever kept. So we'll see how this goes. And I run my thumb down the belly to push out poo and pee so it doesn't end up in my cutting board. Nice walleye? Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. That's gonna be so good. Perfect. That's a really nice one for eating. A little blue tinge to the tail and fins. Oh man, can't wait. These long pieces are from the pike. These are walleye. That's half of it. This is just the second round. This is wonderful. People say they hate pike. I just don't get it. It's really delicious as long as you clean it properly and get the white bones out. What a meal. Got some mint tea to wash it down. There are a bunch of bearberries here, but bearberries aren't very good. They're kind of dry, but call that dessert. Actually, the aftertaste is better. Not bad. Couple bonfires, reading in the hammock, and a big fish fry. It's a perfect rest day. Normally I wouldn't take a rest day this early after only 7 portages, but the lake is too sweet, and I just wanted to err on the side of caution with my knee since I'm still rehabbing it and essentially will be forever. I tore my meniscus in February, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, and 2 months later finally got surgery. They pulled it out, so there's no meniscus in that knee anymore, so conditioning is essential moving forward indefinitely until the knee has to be replaced. I just have to keep strengthening it to protect the joint. So yeah, anyway, I've been doing so much physio over the last few months and it's just doubly rewarding to be here right now. Yeah, incredible feelings of gratitude right now, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the trip. I'm ready to move on now. Great day here. Glad I got to enjoy this lake. On to day 6. Some quick canola to get going. So here's the plan today. Continue down Takeoff Lake, 1 short portage into Davies Lake, and 2 short portages into Matig Lake, which is part of the Missisquoi River system, which carries down or up this way up to the Albany River, and hopefully set up camp somewhere around there. In Wabakimi, I should add. Working down the lake and I'll be portage hunting soon. At this last camp, there was this weird sound in the night. It was kind of like... It was like a dog toy being squeezed. And I finally got to ID it on Merlin bird app, and it's a boreal owl. So that was pretty cool. It was waking me up periodically, but it was pretty neat. Never ceases to amaze me where you'll find oil drums and industrial waste. There was a random spot for it, but it was probably fire crews, forest firefighters, and yeah, those got flown in and they never got flown out. Bit of deadfall here at the end, but a fantastic trail, one of the best yet. Triple carried that one. Sometimes with all the fishing and filming gear, it's easier just to do 3 quick trips and pack it all up and unpack it at the other end. There's a cold east wind blowing on Davies Lake, headwind, but at least I'll keep me warm paddling against it. Taking a quick break behind this point. I'm now in Wabakimi, and I can paddle directly into this headwind for 6 kilometers up Davies, or potentially look for a camp tonight and just wake up tomorrow and make up that distance. Been spitting on and off all morning. Now it's starting to rain, so I'm even more inclined to get off the water. I blew past the campsite marked on the Friends of Wabakimi map, so I'm going back to see if it's any good. This could be the site, but everything around here has really steep access, especially with the wet conditions. That's tough, so I guess I'm moving on. Oh yeah, there's the fire pit. There it is. Really tough water access. Found a little nook to get the canoe in, so I'm gonna have a look. It's a pretty cool spot, and I'm kind of tempted because headwind, cold, and rain are kind of the worst conditions for paddling. So yeah, let me have a look. That's the spot back there. I'm leaving it behind. It's just too slick and slippery. It's getting pretty chilly though. High today is 12 and it's getting down to 2 degrees tonight, so I'm probably camping on Davies. I'm gonna look for something else though. Some moose over there. Went on shore to try and get a more stable shot, but it seems like she vanished in that time. But that was nice to see. Good news, I made it to the other end of Davies. Bad news, the campsite that was marked on the map here is thick bush, so I don't know. If it's around, I'm not seeing it. So I'll look around. I don't really want to dive into these two portages now. It's getting kind of late in the afternoon, so let's see what I can find. Back to rain again. Portage is supposed to be down there. And I found a spot that is viable. Yeah, I could set up right here. Seems pretty tempting. Yeah, this spot's growing on me. It's hard to describe exactly what makes a campsite appealing to me. It's wild, secluded, pure, unique, cozy. So here's camp after a little cleanup. Good water access, that's a big one for me. Unique view both ways. Set up a little fire pit here, although I'm gonna cook on the stick stove anyway, but I might use it tomorrow morning when it's supposed to be 2 degrees for an open fire for a little warmth. Filter, hammock. Got a little towel just for drying off if I'm wet from rain or washing my face. Nice lofty pitch under these beautiful jack pine. Bit of an ugly paddling day, but a moose, great camp, reading, back pain medicine, tea, and a cuddle buddy. Sleep with us on cool nights in case it gets to freezing. I don't want to ruin it. All is well. It's great to be back inside Wabakimi again too, and it's funny how that moose appeared within a kilometer of getting to the park boundaries. Oh yes. Satcom weather says it's 1 degree right now. Some Mexican quinoa rehydrating this morning, along with Earl Grey tea. Feels amazing, along with this flame on a cold morning. I don't establish fire pits so liberally anymore. I used to kind of have fires wherever and then leave, and yeah, I don't feel good about that. So I use the stick stove for the vast majority of the time now, and then if there's a legitimate campsite to be established and a need for one, then I'll set up a fire pit, small one. In my book, Michael was just, I was reading about his trip in Wabakimi last night. I didn't even realize Wabakimi was part of the book, so that's cool. And he breaks up fire pits sometimes just for a leave no trace principle, which I really respect the leave no trace thing, but there's a time and a place, and a fire pit that everyone can use, I think is a valid trace. Same way that I'll clear out the portages. It's something that everyone can use. Anyway, there was a ridiculous coincidence in this book last night. I actually can't believe it. But he's in Wabakimi, and he wrote, "Lower Rock Cliff was gorgeous. The last quarter mile skirted more wild rice than I had ever seen. Davies Lake produced more glass, like still water. I could have paddled all day in conditions like this. And then the Agony, the connector stream between Takeoff Lake and Redmond Lake, was essentially dry." So those are the two lakes I was just on. And I had no idea that those were in the book. So you can imagine what a surreal moment that is. They say we're living in a simulation, and I'm believing it right now. And the other crazy thing, this is getting long-winded, but the last trip I did on Pickle Lake, in Pickle Lake area, was with Xander 2 years ago. And I was reading a book, and it happened to feature 2 young men who were on a canoe trip near Pickle Lake. So that's just bizarre. I can't explain how that coincidence could happen on such obscure places, but anyway. Love these Canada jays. Well, that was amazing. I was just brushing my teeth and caught out of the corner of my eye, I saw something, and yeah, there was a cow and then a calf. And it's in this area where I've looked there 100 times since I've been on the site, just thinking that looks like a spot where wildlife could be. And for some reason, it's so much more satisfying when you see wildlife in those places where you imagine them. And I'll be keeping my eyes out for a bull too, because it's that time of year. Almost ready to head out here, and the sun's trying to break through. That would be really nice. The next couple days are supposed to be a lot sunnier. It's been pretty gloomy. Okay, a very short paddle to the next portage. There's a nice pool here where 3 streams converge and then they go down river. There's a rapid there I can hear. And it seems pretty shallow, but I'll give it a shot. Yep, tiny walleye. Thank you. Gorgeous woods, bit of a tangle at the end, but not too bad. Back in business for now. Something over here. Yep. Sometimes it just ends up being a stick. Oh, no way. No way. This is a caribou shed. It's not even moose. Oh, that is amazing. I'm so glad I checked. Wow. Never found one before. I've only seen 2 caribou. Woodland caribou. Wow. Not nearly as heavy as a moose antler. Matig Lake, baby! Wow, what a morning. 2 moose, caribou shed, and a couple of trumpeter swans here. I'm into Matig Lake there. It's just labeled as Missisquoi River on this map. But yeah, some maps label it as Matig Lake, and it looks beautiful. This east wind, evil east wind, has finally died, and the sun is coming out. There have been very few campsites on the route so far, but there are supposed to be 3 on Matig, and if I feel enthralled by one of them, I'm gonna have to stay. It's got a real wildlifey feel here. I'm keeping my eyes peeled along the shorelines, hoping something will turn up. Couple more trumpeter swans. Look at that beautiful down. Passing by the first campsite marked on the map. It's functional, but it's not giving me that feeling down there. My heart. Can we be adults, please? I'm gonna move on. Oh, a little otter there. Hi. Well, this is a funny thing to see out here. It's a snowmobile. Not exactly the latest model. This would be a horrible spot for your snowmobile to break down too. Another great camp for night number 7. Great water access, sunrise view that way, sunset view that way. Love when I get both, and northern exposure, just in case northern lights kick up, you never know. Nice open woods. Cooking area here, got all my sticks fuel for tonight and tomorrow. The caribou shed, which I'll be leaving here. And a heavenly hang. What a great spot. Oh. So yeah, I'm leaving the shed behind here because I'm in a park and you can't take that kind of stuff out of parks, unfortunately. It'd be kind of cool, but then again, it would just be stuff at home. I mostly just like to show Aaron. But a blissful day. Perfect combination of adventure, excitement, peace, solitude, and the only thing that could be said against it is the water quality here on Matig Lake. It's so shallow and very muddy in the bottom, so you can taste that muddiness, just a hint of it in the water. So I've found substitutes. So here's where I'm at. Still a fair bit left, especially on the big lakes. Next is Greenbush Lake. I've got 2 portages into there, up the Missisquoi River, and another portage back to East Pash, and then back to my car. But that's not a short distance, that's plenty. Although in the last 5 days or so, I've only done this section here, and you know what? I've loved it. The pace has been wonderful. What's more symbolic of being alone? Deafening silence, or the echo of your own voice? Hello out there! Hello out there! Hello out there! Wow. Just wow. What can you say? What a 24 hours it's been. Northern Lights last night, one of the better shows I've seen. Cold night, clear, turning to fog. And now this show this morning with it burning off. Oh my goodness. And ducks. Little beaver swam right by camp last night. Otters this morning. Some little birds, blackbirds, and a thrush, I think. The pictures could never do it justice. Real happy to have this tea. It's cold for canoe tripping. Wow. Great morning for a paddle here on day 8. Feels incredible to be back in the sunshine and the warmth. Much needed this morning. And I'm just about at the end of Matig Lake, which means I'll be back on the Missisquoi River and out of Wabakimi. What a couple of days it's been in the park. Couldn't have asked for any more. I've got a couple portages this morning to take me into Greenbush Lake, which is one of the biggest on the trip. We've got a 23-kilometer minimum paddle to get through that lake. That'll take me to a portage back into East Pashkokogan. So this first trail is supposed to be about 700 meters, and the first 300 of it was great, and then it hit some deadfall, and I can't see any sign of it anywhere, so portage hunting. Last 100 meters or so, just can't find anything, so just bushwhacking it. Good enough. Alright, back to the river. If I had 2 people, I would definitely take the river there and just lift over some of the rocky parts and wade or run if you're going the opposite directions. The little chutes look pretty clear from the air. I was able to fly again because I'm outside the park. Onward! Just enough water for me to get through this section. Hopefully I'll be able to get to the portage landing ahead. Time for a peanut butter and honey break. It looks like there will be enough water to wade up to the portage landing, and I'll take that for sure. I was worried it was just gonna be just mud based on what it was looking like there. So I'm gonna have a look ahead on this one. It gets really thin, so I'd be surprised if they didn't make it portage further back, or at least somewhere here. So I'm kind of looking for the portage at this point, but it's supposed to be further ahead. In the meantime, I can clear out this sweeper and this tight little run. This sweeper would not be welcome. Alright. End of the line here. It's too narrow, so I'll start portaging over the boulders until I get to the portage. Yeah, the portage is supposed to be somewhere way down there. This would be so much easier with two people, because you could take the packs and then two man or two person in the canoe. Just lift it over everything. Taking out my two big packs here for a sec. It's just too narrow, and then I can lift the canoe over more easily. Got the canoe through the boulder garden. Step one, the other two packs are back there. And then the trail should be not too far ahead. Almost there. Beautiful day for this kind of thing. So wading up that section, I was thinking this makes no sense. For all the portages around here, why would there not be one for this? The portage was marked around here on my map. And right now I'm about to get into Greenbush Lake, so that there was a portage somewhere, but it wasn't marked in the right spot on my map. So anyway, I don't have to do it. That's the good news. Greenbush is very shallow in the east end, but it's full of islands, bays, and channels, just how I like it. Plenty of rock outcroppings for camping. And as soon as I found a little depth, threw my line in, and it took seconds. But it's a small pike. How do I get away from you guys? First decent pike of the trip. Alright. Greenbush is really exceeding expectations so far. I was kind of thinking I'd blow past it, but it's quite scenic, and the fishing promises to be very good. Plowing my way through Greenbush, trying to find a campsite as soon as possible. Everything got pretty damp last night with the fog and frost, so I would love to be able to dry out the hammock and sleeping bag. Hard not to get my line in the water though. This lake just seems pretty amazing. Nice little walleye. Oh, wish I had time to have fish for dinner. Seriously, if I can't see bottom, I throw my line in and it's usually within a minute. Another nice eater walleye. Oh. Thank you. That. Just fish after fish. I fish a lot of lakes. I would say this one's a pretty special fishery. Solid pike. It was a very solid pike. Holy cow. Look at that. What a beauty. Oh, thank you. Okay, finally made camp, got water filtering. Was motoring all around the lake trying to find something and finally did. I'm just going to leave the canoe in the water. It's so sheltered here in this cove. I have this little leash for it with beaners and a bungee. Through this Labrador Tea, got an awesome view over here. Barfed all my gear out, trying to get some stuff dry while there's a little sun left. And a really cool view into this bay. Sunset. And the greater lake over there, but yeah, I'm happy. And there was a site marked on my map here, and evidently this is it, but I'm not sure why the water access got so bad for it. Old fire ring with moss growing in it, so that hasn't been used in a long time. Also got some wet stuff off, that feels good. Now I just need a meal. I'm ravenous. I stopped filming the fish and then stopped fishing altogether so I could make progress because I couldn't. They were just biting non-stop. So hopefully this hot bite continues tomorrow. I still have a good paddle left on Greenbush. For all the perks of solo tripping, getting into camp late and having to set up and cook and everything on your own is not one of them. But it's all good. I got a backpacking meal again to keep it quick. Just boil up some water. But yeah, it's so nice when I'm with Erin. She, let's say, sets up the shelter and I get fire going, get dinner on. It's just such a comfort to have each other at those times. But this is far from one of those stressful times, but it would still be nice. So I've got 3 options to choose from. What a delight. But there's a catch. All 3 are significantly past their best before date. That's best before, not expiry. So I'm about 95% sure it'll be fine. However, 2 of them are seafood and the other one's pork. So that's getting like a little sketchy maybe. And this one's called Seafood Delight. Pretty sure we feed our cat something called Seafood Delight. Shrimp curry with rice or braised pork with white wine mushroom sauce. I think I'll go with that because the seafood just seems sketchier to me. So the pork is also the least expired. It was April 2018. The shrimp curry with rice, ooh, October 2016. That belongs in a time capsule, and it's got a stain on it. And the Seafood Delight, Feb 2017. So, let's give it a whirl. Okay, moment of truth. I ended up boiling it in the pot just to try and make it a little safer. Taste is good. Another very clear night, and it's still twilight, but I can see the northern lights starting to kick up, faintly. Oh man. I can't believe this. Well, the lights went away, maybe they'll come back, but anyway, it's an amazing night for stargazing. Morning of day 9, another chilly one. I've got the sun warming me up over there. I had amazing stars overhead through the night, swaying in the hammock, and northern lights and sunset over this way. So just another unreal experience. And I was planning on hammering out some early distance today before the wind picked up. I'm out of the wind here, but I can hear the wind and waves behind me. So I'm kind of thinking I might have to just spend an extra day here and enjoy the fishing here. It's too good, so I think that's the plan. Definitely feels like the right call to stay here today. The wind is building. It's doable right now, but I'm pretty low energy as well. Feel slightly hungover, and I had no scotch, so maybe it was that dehydrated meal. Feeling much better after breakfast and a quick nap, leaving camp and getting back to fishing. Yesterday, caught all the fish on this jointed crankbait, single burbless hook, and I bet a wide variety of lures would have caught any number of fish here. But anyway, I'll stick with this since it worked. The clouds have moved in and it is supposed to rain later today and tomorrow, so I'll get this fishing in now while I can. I'm camped on a little point and there's a bay right beside it, which is really sheltered from this wind, so I'll start here. It was hard to stop fishing yesterday because you never know when a hot bite like that's gonna go cold. But yeah, there's another fish quickly. Small bite though. Oh. The bay here is too shallow for fishing, but I had to check out this little stream at the back, which is really pretty. I wanted to keep going down it, but I realized I'd have to paddle the whole thing backward. So, heading back out to the lake, into the wind, I guess. There it goes. Perfect. Pike. It's 8 pike and 3 walleye so far today. Been raining lightly for a while, so I'm gonna pack it in, I think, and head back to camp. No notable fish within those either. All fairly small. Back to camp. Didn't get the fish that I hoped to on Greenbush, but I still have a fair paddle to get out of it tomorrow. And I gotta be up early to hopefully make up some progress that I didn't make today. So I'm gonna just chill out and have a pretty peaceful evening and fall asleep early, hopefully. Making some peanut butter and honey wraps again for dinner. The rain's been persistent in the back half of the day, so I'm not going to bother trying to cook. But I'm happy. I'm content here. I'm dry. It's such a great feeling to be dry when it's wet out. It just is. And Mike in his book, toward the end here of the book, he's kind of windbound just watching the clouds pass, but he's happy as well. He says, "For all of this and a whole lot more, I'm deeply grateful. The key to contentment, I'm learning, is an attitude of gratitude." And I think that's so true. When I got to take off lake on day 4, I was like content and just full. I just felt full inside, as I've been in a long time. And I think that was rooted in gratitude. Just being able to get back into these places, which I haven't been able to get to since the injury. And the things that you lose, you're just so much more grateful for them when you have them. And just like this, my hammock and sleeping bag were kind of damp. Now they're dry, and I'm dry on a wet day, and it's just, yeah, gratitude is a huge part of contentment. So cheers to healing, to being warm and dry, and peanut butter and honey. On the water nice and early for day 10. Got about 14 kilometers left on Greenbush. So, actually, I'm going to get my line in the water. And then I got a 500 meter portage back into East Pashkokogan, back from day 2. About 2/3 of the way down Greenbush. I'm going to get a fire going and have a good meal before this portage. Always keep some dry birch bark in my pack for occasions like this where everything is very wet. Tons of stick fuel here. There's a bunch of blowdown. Lifted up a big root mat too. Oh, it feels nice. It was very mild this morning, but it's actually cooled down with this cloud cover. So I'm camped on a little point right there. There wasn't a campsite marked on my map, but it was appreciated that there was a fire pit here to cook this up. I've been camped there, so I've paddled this most exposed stretch, and then there's just this little section left in this small bay portage, and then I cross over. I can either do a short portage into Pashkokogan or come up the way I came and back. So it really just depends on the wind, what makes more sense there. This way is a little longer, this way has a portage. So. tea for the road. Nice big meal before this last portage, potentially. I read a book a while ago called The Hidden Life of Trees, and I used to wonder if this was pollution or something, but apparently it comes from the decay of trees. Perfectly natural. Still kind of gross though. During that lunch break it got extremely calm, so I'm not surprised at all that it started to rain. Thunder still occasionally, but well away from me, so I'm good to continue. Great lunch stop, delightful actually, and a cup of tea. Oh yeah, let's do this. Looks like the rain's passing just as I get to the portage. Looks like it might turn beautiful. So that fire pit that I just cooked on had moss growing on it. Didn't see anyone on this big lake. And I was almost expecting it because my map book said that there's a boardwalk put in here, presumably by the lodge. So I was assuming that there might be some traffic coming through, but I think it was actually too shallow for an actual motor to get through there. So that might be part of the reason why, but anyway, the streak of seeing no one continues. Look at this turn in the weather. There's an old oil drum here at the end. Got the first load across, and beautiful wetland. But with the low water, there's gonna be it's gonna be mucky getting in. I'll see when I get to that point. But the trail was incredibly easy and straight and flat, with those little boardwalks at the ends where it gets mucky. And at some points, I guess there would have been a trolley here, like rail tracks, because there's an axle here. Look at the steam coming out of here. Sun burning off the rain. Oh, some serious mud. Making my way along East Pashakogan with a tailwind. Haven't said that much on this trip, but that's canoe tripping for you. There have been about a half dozen fish today, but again, nothing notable. Just like this. Whoa! Perfect. There are thunderheads in the distance and more rain in the forecast, so hopefully it holds off and I can make camp. So I'm approaching a campsite on my map. I'm hoping to take it. There's still some pretty heavy rain forecasted for any minute and then into the evening and night. So looks like the sun's about to go behind some clouds, and I'm hoping to get a tarp up ASAP. Made it. All squared away for night number 10, final night. Got about an 18-kilometer paddle tomorrow down that way, down Pashkokogan. This is my access lake. Hammock and tarp are all set up, so that's a relief. Prefer not to get drenched again today, so I got my wish. Established campsite here. It's a little junky, but cleaned it up. Now I'm happy. That's it for today. All I gotta do is eat something. What I really want are those freeze-dried meals, but I'm not gonna risk it. I got about an 18 kilometer paddle out of here, and I don't want to have one of those like food poisoning-esque hangovers like I did with the last one. When I got to this lake, I heard a motorboat in the distance. I didn't see them, but the feeling of solitude, it's just me in the wilderness, evaporated in that moment. And I miss the feeling already, but it helps me go home because I really didn't want to yet. It's just been such a great, enjoyable trip. And there's a quote in the book about loneliness and solitude. Mike says he's in Quetico, a big park in Ontario, Canada. He says, "I'm camped at a lonely little campsite on Lonely Lake. I have a few thoughts tonight on being lonely. It's clear to me that anyone, anywhere, can experience loneliness, isolation, solitude, and estrangement. And most people probably do encounter these things at some point in their lives. Being solitary is being alone well, being immersed in doings of your own choice. It's being aware of the fullness of your own presence rather than the absence of others. I perceive being alone in solitude as an achievement. When I am alone, I belong entirely to myself and deal with just my state of mind and the sentiments in my heart." Oh man, this storm is about to hit. Wind just picked up like crazy. It's dark. I pulled the canoe up a lot further. My pitch on the tarp was really lofty. Brought that down. Oh boy. Nature heard what I said, and it's like, oh, you want to feel lonely? Here's a massive thunderstorm on a tiny little island. I feel lonely again. I debated trying to go further too, because I didn't love this site, so I'm really happy I didn't. Holy cow. Well, that was pretty weird. It seemed like all hell was gonna break loose, and then it just went pretty calm. Anyway, gives me a chance to eat. I don't think it's over yet. On my way for day 11. The storm was not too bad last night, plenty of rain, but thunder and lightning were not significant. But an ugly morning this morning with gray skies, cool weather, and a headwind. So I'm taking a quick break here before I continue, but it's been an amazing trip. I've really enjoyed it. Took it a bit slower, a little bit at less ambitious pace because of the knee, but it held up great. And I really enjoyed the pace in the end, being able to smell the roses, stop here and there early or take a rest day. It was really nice. Started out on these big lakes, Pashkokogan, East, and McCrae. Then got into the Shoe Creek system, getting back to backcountry lakes, and that beautiful sense that I'm the only human around for miles. Took those small scenic water bodies down to a great 2-night stay on Takeoff Lake, which then launched me into Wabakimi. The wildlife didn't let me down there with the moose, trumpeter swans, otters, beaver, birds, and ducks, and the first caribou shed that I've ever found. That was the wildlife highlight for me. Then there was a terrific surprise Northern Lights show that night. It was not in the forecast, so it made it all the sweeter. Followed by that frosty, foggy morning on Matig Lake, which was really stunning. It was heavenly. Then I left Wabakimi and continued up the Missisquoi River to Greenbush and found one of the hottest bites that I've experienced in a long time. Too bad I couldn't enjoy it for longer, but I'm glad I was there to get a bit of the action. There was a brief encore for the lights that night, and then I reluctantly completed the loop through the rain and back to the access lake where it looked like a hurricane was about to hit last night. And I say reluctantly because I really didn't want this trip to end. I could have gone longer for sure if I had brought more food or had more time, but I gotta get back. Anyway, what a trip. Wabakimi area never disappoints. I got my dose of solitude. Now it's time to return to the real world. Actually, this is the real world, isn't it? So it's time to go back to the simulation. But simulation has great food that I'm really looking forward to, and there's a little taste of that waiting for me in the car. So on to the final paddle. All loaded up, ready to go home. And here's my sweet reward. Oh yeah, plus some pops. It's always a relief to get back to the car and it's not broken into, siphoned gas, tires slashed, or anything like that. Dead battery. It's never happened, but I always worry. Oh man, I skipped breakfast too. Cheers.